They actually flew most or all of the potential participants of Alone. They flew us out to New York for an in-person test, survival test. So they made us do a bunch of crazy stuff. Eat crickets. They got us a bunch of rabbits that we had to and do all sorts of stuff with those guys. Lots of stuff. Oh, jump in the water. They're making everybody jump in the water. So I jump in the water and you have to dunk your head under, get up, go out. They're like, okay, now go. Build a shelter, build a fire, and see how far along the line of survival things you need to do you can get. You need going. So I'm like, all right, jump. In my head, I'm in like go mode. Like, this is make or break. I had like, this is meant for me. I'm gonna win. Like, this is my time. So by the time they get to me, and I'm laying with only my boxers on a bed of evergreen boughs with a shelter above me like this. If it's reflecting, it's a Mylar blanket. It's a space blanket. It reflects. So you have this shelter here, a big long fire, probably 3 feet long, roaring in front of me. My clothes on sticks, drying off already. My boots on sticks, drying off already. I'm chilling, and I got a salamander next to me. Depending on what we're gonna have to do, they come around. I remember I was guy 6 to jump in. They go, you're the first person to have a fire going.
It starts with just taking that leap.
Man, you have to work hard. You have to be incredibly smart.
Choose something that even if it fails, you are going to be proud of it.
Doesn't matter how badly you got beaten in battle.
Be kind, be kind, be kind.
Become a better person, a better leader, a better business.
Go with your gut.
I'm Samuel Donner, and this is Finding Founders.
Let's try this again. So, can you state your full name and 3 or 4 sentences about who you are and what you do?
My name is Joe Robinet. I go camping lots, and I'm a YouTuber. I get paid to go camping, so I go out and I film my trips. Sometimes they're a week long. Sometimes they can be up to like a month long. Bring a little bit of gear sometimes. I bring a lot of gear sometimes. And I've been doing this for over 15 years. I started well before you could get paid for it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you started it just for love of the craft. And like, you have over like 1 million subscribers on YouTube. You've been sharing outdoor experiences since like 2000, but like between 2007 and 2010. You're going on these crazy multi-week camping tours, sometimes even longer. You've even, had some experience with TV survival stuff that we'll talk about in a little bit. But you are a survival expert for sure. So I want to take it back to before you had all of this knowledge, before you had the 1 million subscribers, and talk a little bit about what was your main exposure to camping growing up. Like, what did that look like when you were a kid?
Me watching Little House on the Prairie. There was not much, dude. I lived in Windsor, which is like a city right next to Detroit, but on the Canadian side, obviously, and very, very industrial, very like you go to school and then you go work at the Ford plant or whatever the case is, Chryslers. I didn't have a dad in my life, and my mom was, my mom said she was doing whatever. She took me a couple times to like some like car camping places, like stuff like that, and I was really, really, really enamored with it. But I got a lot of my stuff from TV, man.
So what did you, when you like looked at those TV shows like Little House on the Prairie, and I don't know, did you watch Grizzly Adams at all?
Grizzly Adams, Little House on the Prairie, like there's more, a couple more, but yeah, I like cowboys and Indians and all that stuff.
Yeah. What did you like about those? Like what like, do you remember some of the like episodes you watched, or just like the vibe? Like what was it about that was cool to you?
Even Fred Penner when he had to crawl through the log, like the Fred Penner thing, like that was I just liked the wilderness like aspect of it, the idea that people could go out and make a life out there, and like you could and I could see way more stuff than I was ever exposed to in real life. You know what I mean? Be it like mountains or just big old evergreen trees. When I lived down there, it was only like, You know, it's a little patches of bush where like junkies hung out. It was just like
Yeah, nothing compared to like the trees and the wildlife and the water that you could see in the wild. But like for you, it seems like it was almost fantasy because you didn't really have access to that, but you were seeing it on TV. Did you believe that stuff was out there, that you wanted to explore it, or at the time was it just like that's on TV and that's there, and then I have my real life, which is in the city?
Well, it was more of that, but I always had like you know what I mean? Growing, after I grew up a little bit, like I met more people and stuff, and the options got more and more. It wasn't just me and my mom. It was like I was able to make friends and like go up and explore these things. 'Cause I have a lot of good stuff in Ontario here. It was just not down there. It's like 7 to 10 plus hours away. Wow. So it was like a pipe dream back in the day. I wanted to go up and explore everything, but I knew like it wasn't really going to happen. But then growing up later on, I made it happen.
So I want to we'll go into some of your first experiences, but I want to spend a little bit more time in like childhood looking at this camping that you saw on television. Can you tell me who Grizzly Adams is or was or what is that?
It's just another show like Little House on the Prairie type thing. Like he's just like this real gruff dude, and he like lived out there by himself, and like I don't know. I don't really remember much of it. I just remember like he wore like a red and black plaid shirt and like was like just this big like beast of a man.
And would he just like survive in the wilderness and
like
make campfires and stuff?
And like there's like other people in town, but he lived out of town a little bit, I think, in like a little cabin. He might have even been a spin-off of Little House on the Prairie. I can't remember. I just remember it being like something I watched all the time.
Yeah. So as you have this inspiration of what the wild and what camping looks like to you when you're a kid, but it's almost like it might as well be like Star Trek, because at the time you're not really having access to it. So it's like this whole other world that you think exists or you might know exists, but you haven't had the chance to explore it. But then in high school, it seems like you got a little bit more of a chance. I mean, like, in high school, you have a little bit more freedom to explore things on your own. Your mom had taken you car camping, but not like the real thing. So in high school, what were the first things that you did on your own when you were trying to explore this world of camping and outdoor living?
Well, I met my wife when I was in high school, but it wasn't until it was at separate high schools, right? We didn't go to the same high school or whatever, but that's the age I met her at. And a little bit before that, like I had friends that we would go like camping in the fields in the county, because there's no real forest around here, it's just fields. But once I met my wife, we went up to Algonquin Park.
And she was your girlfirld back then, right?
Yeah,
in high school.
She was my girlfriend. Yeah, we've been together for like, don't put this ball here, since we were 17. Since I was 17, she was 18, and I'm probably just turned 40. You know what I mean? It's a long time.
Long time.
Yeah, but we went to Algonquin Park, and we had so much stuff. The gunnels, the size of the fin at the tops, were this far out of the water. And then that was only one trip. We had to go back, and for a second trip, go back again.
Wait. Can you explain that a little bit? So you said you in high school you first like decided to go camping with your girlfriend at the time, now your wife.
Yeah.
What was the plan? Like, where were you going to go? Like, what did you hear about?
So Algonquin Park, do you know anything about it?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, yeah. It's a really, really big, like the Adirondacks, I would assume, similar, or a place where you can go and like there's a lot of set up campsites or along the way, campgrounds, but then there's also like canoe in campsites. So you can
canoe into a campsite that is not accessible by walking, or like way harder to access by walking.
Exactly. There's many of those things, and that's what I like to do back in the backcountry. But for us, like, we didn't know anything, but we still didn't want to just be like pull up in our car. So you wanted something like a little bit exciting, a little bit unique. So you're like, oh, how hard could getting a canoe with all your stuff be to get to this campsite? Like, it must be easy, right? Like, was it that easy? No, yeah, exactly. So we did it, and like we didn't know anything. I had a full bag of sugar to make like Kool-Aid. We had like Kool-Aid mixes and like a box of bottled water, or like a cake, a flat cup bottled water.
That must
Just
have been super
stupid.
heavy.
Oh, it was ridiculously heavy. And like we had, what else do we have? Oh, a loaf of bread that we thought, oh, it won't get smushed, like for some reason, right? Yeah. So we got it there. We found a campsite, left all our stuff there stupidly, like just the food on the ground when there's like bears and chipmunks and the whole 9 yards, right? And then came back a second time with the rest of it, set it all up. But yeah, that was our first experience, and we learned a lot. We spent 7 days, and I cooked food in the fire every day with like just like a pan from like the kitchen or whatever. Just we didn't know.
Wait, so you did that? So yes, you like brought like the wrong stuff to this place, but you actually survived for 7 days out in this like canoe campsite.
Yeah, we stayed for sure. Yeah, we went on a bunch of we canoed in. We went on a bunch of different trails every day because they had trails set up along the way. Man, we saw a snapping turtle like this big around on the trail. It was a very memorable experience. We have pictures of it still and everything.
No way. And I imagine that was like something that brought you guys like a lot closer together.
Oh, 100%.
What did it like? So this is your first real trip, right? That you've taken camping up until that point. So how did it compare to what you had seen in like on TV?
Oh, my mind was blown, man. I was like enamored with it. It was like a validation almost. Like it is here, and like it's as hard as it was. We did it. We didn't even know how to canoe.
And
You know what I mean?
still
We're yelling at
canoed,
each other, both of each other, yelling at each other, going other side. We didn't know no damn thing. But like we did it, you know what I'm saying? And like I really loved it, and learned a lot. What I needed, what I didn't need. What I really learned was don't bring anything that you don't 100% need or that you're going to use, or at least has one use. But if it has two uses, it's even better. But like, yeah, man. Actually, we left every day and came back and left our canoe at the put-in. It was like a really built-up place, lots of people. And the one day we came back almost at nighttime to get in our canoe and go away, and go back to our campsite. And the people who were coming to collect the canoes for the company or grabbed our canoe, and it was on the truck, and they were like driving away. I'm like chasing it, screaming like that's our canoe. Oh, just take another one. I'm like, what do you mean just take another one? It's somebody else's.
That's ours.
Like, yeah, it was crazy, man. Like, but anyways, we got over that, and I loved it. It was
wow.
We actually took our oldest back to the same exact spot. We camped at the same exact spot when she was like 5 or something like that. It was cool.
I want to get to that full circle moment a little later, but it sounds like that camping trip was like the thing that cemented in your mind that this is something that I love to do. It's not just a fascination in the movies or in the TV shows. It's something that I actually love. So, as you exited high school and went to college and like went towards college, what were you thinking you wanted to study? Did this like love of camping translate into like, okay, like can I think about a career where I'm outside or in nature? Did you start to think about that as you were going towards the end of school?
I took a long time after high school to go to college. I took like too many years. I just slacked off and didn't do much. But one thing that was constant in my head was the outdoor thing, and I went and built shelters all the time in the middle of the city.
Really?
Yeah, in the middle of the city, like big. The one was like a big log cabin, man. It was crazy.
Wait, you built a log cabin in the middle of the city?
Yeah, me and my buddy. So on Walker Road, there's this huge, busy road, Walker Road. I mean, there's on one side of it, there's Glidden Paints, and the other side of it was a ground effects car, like factory type thing. And in the middle, it was like half the length of a football field wide, and not very very deep at all, like in this way. And the back of it was train tracks. So we always used to go in there, like people like would see us work from their jobs or not care at all. We're like chopping down trees, building it all And then it got taken over by a homeless person the one time. We had like a duel. It was crazy, man. It was just crazy.
I mean, you're making a great house. Like, I would imagine that's like prime real estate right there.
100%. Who can blame them?
How did you know how to do that? How to put that together?
We just were messing. Me and my one buddy Brian, we were just messing around. I had a book called. We both had a book called Bushcraft by Morris Kahansky, and he was like the godfather of bushcraft. And
can you tell me what bushcraft is?
It's like just the art of like being, not even art, just being outside, being self-reliant on the things that you have on you, and the knowledge to make or utilize the things that you can from nature. In that instance, like the more you know, the less you carry is the mantra.
It's like, all right, like you can drop Joe, like after reading this book, you drop Joe anywhere in the world with like a tree and a water source, and he's ready to survive. It's like this idea that like the world goes to crap, zombies are everywhere, you can still survive in the wilderness. Like no matter what happens, like you're kind of set just with the knowledge that you have in your brain. That's really cool.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that's it got popular a few years ago, man. I don't know if it's fizzling out a little bit now, but yeah.
What so with this cabin that you and your friend built, like what ended up happening to it? Did someone eventually take it down? Did you like get the homeless person out of there?
That's where I was getting. Yeah, so we were doing all this stuff, and like it was still living. We were still living with it. Whatever. I moved away. He moved away first to go to college. Then I moved away to go to college. And then when I went back the one time, it was just like collapsed or whatever,
dismantled.
Yeah, but yeah, no. So I went to college after that, and because I would do all that, watch Survivor Man. Remember Survivor Man?
Yeah,
the show?
yeah.
Like, he was a huge inspiration on me, and I didn't know that you could ever get paid for being out in the wilderness or whatever like that. So actually, my buddy, same buddy that I went to that built that cabin with, sent me a bunch of listings for schools and what they could do, and I got into Sault College, Sault Ste. Marie, up north here, and they had a forestry technician program and like a park
what
operations.
Does that mean?
Just
forestry technician.
Forestry technician is like learning to be a forestry person, so an arborist or somebody who goes out and cuts down trees, who's paid to be paid to do this type of thing.
Yeah, basically paid to be in the wilderness. So it's not quite Survivor like esque, but it's like one step in that direction. Like you're not going to be the person that's in front of a computer doing spreadsheets, right? Like you want to be out in the wilderness.
Exactly. Or by a factory, you know what I mean? And no, not putting that down at all. It's just not for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
no, of course. And it's like you can put a goldfish on top of a tree and it's not going to climb, but you put it in the water and it will swim easily. It's like
exactly.
you don't want to put Joe. You do want to put Joe on top of the tree, but not in front of the spreadsheets.
Yeah. No, so it was like, but I didn't even take that one. I took a park operations where we were more geared towards learning how to work at a provincial park or national park, be it like a warden or someone who goes around and cleans up or does like even animal control or whatever the case may be.
So like when you were looking at college, is like that's the stuff you were looking at. Why did you want to go to college? Was that always in the cards for you, or something that you wanted to do? Or
no, not at all. I never even considered it. It was just like the next step in, if I ever wanted to have a job. I realized then around that time of my life that it's like, okay, you kind of finally got to like get a job, support yourself, like free rides over. And like I couldn't find myself doing anything else, so that's when I realized, like, that's what I realized you could be paid to go to the bush and do whatever. That's what really pushed me.
So what was that degree like? Did you go into the wilderness more, like, because this was what now towards 2007, correct?
2007 is exactly when we went. And my wife got into the same college as me, so we were in Windsor, We live 10-hour drive roughly to Sault Ste. Marie. She got in for esthetician, like makeup and stuff. I got in for this park operations or field naturalist at the time. And we moved up. So I'm so sorry. What was your question?
So this was around 2007 that you were in there.
Yeah. We came both up in 2007, my wife and I.
So you're in this program. You're enjoying the like looking into this natural world. I have two questions right here. You could answer either one of them first. So one was like, what were the kinds of things that this college program that was teaching you to do, like park management and being like a national park? What did that look like? Like, were you doing trips and stuff with them? Like what was the focus? And then separately from that, if you want to answer around the same time, like when did you start exploring YouTube? Because 2007 was when you made the channel that you now have. You weren't posting yet, but you made the channel. So I'm curious, just like as you were learning more in school, were you starting to learn in YouTube as well? Like what was the mix of those two things?
Man, when I first started college, we had what they call field camp, and it was September. Obviously, we started school, right? So it's up here, and it gets colder, and trees are turning colors and stuff already.
Oh, beautiful!
And, beautiful. It blew my mind. First time I seen anything like this up here. Wow. And we went on something called field camp. The first week was 2 weeks. First week was fire camp. Was simulation. What the wildlife firefighters have to do before when they go on their camps. So that was on top of, learning like every single tree by their little stick, by a stick. They would gather a bunch of sticks and put it in a tub and show us. So we have to identify the tree that it came from, or not even just from the leaf, but the stick. It was crazy. Had to do a bunch of stuff. What else do we do? We learn how to drive like boats in the water and jump over our own wake, and like tons of fun stuff. Tons.
Awesome.
Oh, it was.
Dude, what a cool program. That's dope.
I was, honest to God, without even exaggerating, one of the best times. Probably, I don't want my wife to hear this, but the best time of my life. You know what I mean? Like I had a blast. It was a great time. So that I was all into it, super into it. And I was meeting people who else were into it, right? And I was learning more things about.
Yeah, you're around a bunch of people that share the same interests as you.
Exactly. I mean, the first time in my life, dude. First time in my life.
Because you were kind of like, I imagine, maybe a little bit weird building like cabins in the middle of the city, but like now you're in a program where probably everyone was doing that.
Yeah, everybody had similar upbringings, and like. Unless the people came from up north, but most of the people that I hung out with from down south, like where I was. But it was great. So I was meeting all those people, and they were starting to tell me things on the internet about more websites I can look at on the internet and everything. So then we all started
websites to do what? Like what were the things? Yeah,
YouTube was the biggest one though. Like we would just share super silly videos, and again, this is 2007, so it's like. You know what I mean? Not the conception of YouTube, but still early on. And I signed up. I don't really know why, so that I could have an account, and with the intention of potentially down the line putting some stuff on there, because I wanted to learn stuff, and I was trying to learn more and more and more, and there was a very big lack of it. You know what I mean? You had to really, really search it out. So then I started my channel in 2007. I never posted a video for a few years though.
But did you start to like see if there was anyone else like trying to teach these things on YouTube? Like was there, when you went on YouTube, were there other people like doing similar things, like teaching you how to bow drill and all that stuff?
Not really. There was like a website with, I remember this guy Survival Bill or Alan Beauchamp. He had a website with just like pictures of himself doing it, or like little like 10-second clips that the website allowed him to upload. But on YouTube there wasn't really that specific stuff yet. It was inside other videos, like you're inside a video that had other things that they didn't even specify that was that. You know what I mean? So it was hard to differentiate. I can't remember any off the top of my head, but there's a guy named Hob XP, and he was from Sweden, and he had like crazy bow drill videos. I remember back in the day. Yeah,
It's kind of cool. Like I feel like YouTube at this time was this place where everyone from around the world could share like their super niche interest, and then like you would have hundreds of people that would be like, wait, you're into bow drilling too? Like, and then like you would have all these people like it was this small place, because I was on YouTube when I was a kid. I was doing all the editing stuff, and like I remember it being this really small place where all the weird people that were interested interested in like something kind of like that you couldn't find anywhere else would congregate there and share knowledge and share videos and then react to each other's videos. It was like this blossoming place. It's completely different from what it is today. But it sounds like you were starting to find like some of those people, and then eventually like you're going through your program, and I kind of want to take us up to when you start to post your first video, which was in March 8th, 2010. But could you lead me up to that? Because you were still, I imagine you were still in school doing your degree.
No.
Or were you just finished?
I just finished, and I moved down. So we finished a year prior, and we moved a little ways away to a really expensive place, a really touristy place. And we lived there for a little while, and we had to leave. And I remember we got lucky. My uncle was living in the house that I owns the house that I grew up in. It was my grandmother's house, and the people who were in it weren't taking care of it. He was kicking on the door, and he said, "You can come rent it out for like stupid cheap or whatever, or maybe for free." So we came back to Windsor. That's what made us come back to Windsor. Down the street from that house, there was another little plot of woods. Oh, I'm sorry, that was the same plot of woods. I was closer to it this time, and I would go there and do all my stuff there.
When you say your stuff there, what was that?
Just like tree identification or carving or trying to build a shelter, you know what I mean, or just getting my skills, because all this time, sorry, I should tell you this big time, this is a huge inspiration on me. While I was in Huntsville, when I was in that super touristy place, I was in a bad spot in my brain and my mind, because we had moved away from the school where everybody was in the same vibe, and I was getting out and doing a bunch of stuff, to this touristy place where I had to work, and my girlfriend at the time had to work. And
what were you working? What were you doing?
I was standing behind a desk booking people's fun trips.
No,
yeah,
that must be terrible.
No,
like, not only is it like kind of standing behind a desk on a computer, but it's like they're living the life that I want.
Yeah, no, it was brutal, man. It was brutal. So like, and then like I had nobody around, and like all the property was private around, and like there was really nowhere I could go. So
because you had all these skills that you had learned in college with your like your forestry and like park services degree, and so it's like you didn't have anywhere that you could like that's your creative outlet. So you didn't have any way that you could express that in the city where you don't have a little area that you could build a log cabin.
Yeah, exactly. I was playing on like an old ski hill, I remember. And even so, I'm sorry, I should go back again. Before we left Sault Ste. Marie, before we left college, we got Scout, my first dog, my first really good, awesome dog, and he actually really helped me build the channel quite a bit.
Yeah, so let's so editors, really quick, when you're listening to this, we'll talk about Scout. We'll talk about moving to the
Huntsville
place that is it was Huntsville.
Yeah,
Huntsville was the touristy area.
Yep.
Yeah, Huntsville, the touristy area, and then we'll talk about moving into your uncle's place.
Well, yeah, my grandma's my uncle's. Yeah.
So really quick, going back. So when did you get your dog Scout?
Yeah. Okay. So we were in. It was a sad story. When we moved up to Sault Ste. Marie to go to college, we brought our poodle. We had a standard poodle. He was like 4 or 5 years old. He wouldn't stop crying in the apartment that we lived in when we lived in Sault Ste. Marie. When we went to college, he wouldn't stop crying at all. They told us they were going to kick us out, which we found out later was illegal. But we ended up driving him back for like 10 or 11 hours home and left him there. He ended up running away, and that was that. But so we were devastated. We waited a few months, and then our neighbor told us there was a bunch of puppies at the Humane Society. So their mom apparently was found at the side of the road with 8 puppies, and all got taken to the Humane Society. They were all gone. It was like 2 days ago. They were all gone. There was one guy left. They were shepherds, and his name was Sherman, and he was this little like 8-week-old shepherd mix. And so we went in, and I seen him. First time I saw him, my heart just melted. Grabbed him. We took him home. Named him Scout because there's no way my dog was gonna be named Sherman. And yeah, and the rest is history with him. He was like he I didn't have to train him too much. He helped me train dogs. We went through a bunch of obedience stuff together. He excelled at all. He I could let him just go, and he would always come back. He was amazing, and he helped me build the channel. People loved him. People loved our interactions between the way we were each other. People loved the way that I spoke to him like a human being. Like I would just talk to him like normal. And he was amazing, man. I miss him every day.
Wow. Yeah, we'll get more to Scout in a little bit. So you get Scout while you're in college. Then you leave college. You go to this like kind of kitschy. You said it was like a touristy area. Yeah. Then it's just like not working out. You hate your job. You're planning excursions for other people, and you're like, this is not the life that I want. And so then you move into your grandmother's house.
Yeah. So
you're
my grandmother brought my grandma bought a house in like the 40s, and my whole family's lived there since then. She passed away. My uncle owns it, and he was renting it out, and the tenant wasn't going well, and he wanted somebody in there who would take care of it. And I got the word of that, and that was back in Windsor where we came from. So we ended up moving back down the 10, 11, 12 hour drive to Windsor and moving into that house, and we stayed there until we moved here.
So when you moved into this house, so this house was kind of in the wilderness a little bit. Like it was like flanked by more trees, and you had more space. Is that true?
This one up here or down south in Windsor? The one I moved into.
The one that you moved into your grandmother's. Was it like a little bit? No, it wasn't. No,
not at all. That's down. That's west side of Windsor. Like no.
So this still didn't have like the place that you could do your forestry stuff or anything.
No.
So how long? In what year was that?
When we moved back, I don't even know. 2008, 9.
2008, 9. Cool. So around 2008, 9, you have left your job. What are you thinking of doing to occupy your time now that you're in your was your grandmother's, now your uncle's going through it. You're kind of like watching over it to make sure it's like looking good and all that. What are you gonna do to occupy your time?
So I knew that I had to get a job because that's what it is. You know what I mean? I'm out of school now, and you know what the funny thing is, 9 out of 10 people that I went to school with for this position or for this life never got any kind of job in that field at all. And that field, you almost need to know somebody, and that's the truth. But I knew that I needed to work now, and I had that out of my head that I was going to get a job doing any of that stuff. I was kind of discouraged. I got a job at a pet store. I worked my way up, and I was like the assistant manager at that pet store for a really long time, and that's just kind of what I did. But on the side, I was always online on this forum, Bushcraft USA, and they were really a driving force for me. I joined up when we were in the niche, in the Huntsville place, in the touristy place, and I was just stayed small and quiet on there because there's a couple hundred people on there, and I'm just a little Canadian guy, who knows. And so I stayed on there for a while. Then we moved down to Windsor and got a little bit more vocal and stuff. And so I would go and I found little plots of land like that. The same exact plot of land I was
In
talking
Windsor.
In Windsor, yeah. Little plots of land, little tiny things that were nothing crazy, nothing good, nothing great, but places that I could go and practice these little tiny skills and do this stuff. And I wanted to show the people on the forum that I was legit, you know what I mean? That I was actually doing these things and being the person I said I was. So everybody was like sending in pictures for contests and videos, and I just was always like, sad people can cheat on pictures. So I always thought in my head like videos is the way to go. So I was like, oh, I got my YouTube channel already on there. I used that platform to put the videos from YouTube onto Bushcraft USA, the forum, to compete in these programs. And stuff.
Wow. So basically, like all these, like in these chat rooms and these like forums, they would put pictures, but you're like, all right, no, we can do one better. Let's do video. So you post on videos and then link it in the forums.
Yep.
Did you start to get kind of like a little bit popular on the forums where people are like, oh, damn, this is kind of new. This is exciting.
Yep. Yeah, that exactly happened. Yeah, that boosted me on the forum, and I would get a lot of attaboys and good stuff. And and on YouTube, the same thing. Like, it didn't blow up by any means on YouTube, just small. Because imagine this, the niche, right? The niche is so tiny compared to like golf or cars or like whatever have you, right? We're not even camping. We're bushcraft, right? Back then, it was all just bushcraft. I never used the word camping, and I didn't even know anything about anything like using popular words in your title, or maybe make sure your thumbnail looks good.
Yeah,
matters.
Like, I'm looking at some of these old videos. Like some of the title, one of the titles is "Squirrel Lunch."
Exactly, buddy. And I didn't even care. And a lot of the times I would use like copyright music in them throughout the whole thing. Like just put an old rock song, like an old like Nirvana song or something, or Pearl Jam, because that's just what I liked. And on one of those videos I didn't need to talk, so I just put it, right? Thought I'd make it easier listening. Now all those videos are just
demonetized. Yeah. But that's super cool because it's like, you know, that's what old YouTube was. It was a piece of your soul. It was like, hey, I like this music, put it in the video.
100%.
Like, I think that should be titled this because whatever, put it in that as the title. Like the thumbnail, random thumbnail that YouTube chose, you know, like it was a similar time, you know,
100%. Yeah.
So you're posting these videos on YouTube. Do you remember like like in the early days, right? So you started in 2010 posting, like in the early days, do you remember what was like one of the first videos that got a little bit of notoriety?
Yeah, it was like maybe a year in, not almost a year in. I went camping with my dog Scout, the same one, and we went camping in this farmer's bush, basically in the about half an hour out of my city, and I called it Overnight Bushcraft Camp with my dog, and I used a yellow tarp and I tied up in a Adirondack wind shelter, so it has a top that comes down and then two sides. Obviously, you sleep in the back, so it's kind of.
I see. You start in 2010. You're posting these videos to like the forum, getting some notoriety there. But what you're probably like getting like a couple hundred views at this point.
Yeah.
Not like a crazy amount, but still like for that time, that's a lot. I remember like getting 100 views on a video like in early YouTube was crazy. It's like 100 people watch that video. That would fill a whole room. Like that was insane back then. And then in 2013, you have like your first big video. Right now, this video has 650,000 views. It's Overnight Bushcraft Camp. You're with your dog. You have like a yellow tarp in it. Do you remember like what happened when that video kind of blew up?
Yeah, I was super excited because I remember I always used to put out like all my videos up until then were like little like little ones for those competitions and stuff. So it would be like a specific talent or skill that I was doing, like one-headed stick carving or whatever the case may be. And like, so they were all like 5 minutes, 7 minutes long. And that video overnight bushcraft, I showed the experience. And that was one of the first times that I really actually showed the experience of going in. And that video I remember was 20 minutes. I can still remember it was 20 minutes long. And it did much better than any of my other videos. And I was like super excited about it. And I got from all the comments I got, and like thinking about it, I got the impression that it was because that people wanted longer. They wanted to see the experience of the trip, not just like tutorial. Well, this is how you build a fire type thing. So like,
yeah, they want like, what is the lifestyle of this? And like, you can see that in the comments. It's like, leave no trace is the way to go. I wish people were more considerate. You make bushcraft with a dog look easy. Last time I did it with a dog, he ran off with my axe. And then like Michelle White 9 years ago, I love how professionally you put this video together. I'm glad you didn't add any music. I learned a lot. Like, so this seems like a development of your craft, right? You're like doing longer videos. You're showing the lifestyle of it. You're maybe adding less Pearl Jam. You're just kind of letting the video speak for itself, which is like an elevation of it, you know? So what did that do to, like, in terms of like, were you making any money off of this yet? Was it like, how many subscribers did you get from that? Do you remember? Like,
no, I don't remember any. Like, I remember my subscribers boosted quite a bit. I could see it in the analytic part, but there was no money yet. But I remember it was around there shortly after where I had been talking to people on that forum as well. Like, some of those guys were pretty tech savvy, like, you know, like all from all walks of life, right? And I actually started to go on meetups. Like, I would go to Ohio, I would go to Michigan, I would go to Indiana and stuff like that, and meet up with these guys. They're all American, and a lot of them were like, some worked for IT or whatever. So that one guy was like, "Dude, you can monetize your videos." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Check it out." And he showed me, like, when I went home, he like messaged me, showed me or whatever.
wow.
And I monetized one video. And I remember that video. You monetized this video. Yes, exactly. That, because that was the only one that did well for me, right? Or no, sorry, that was the only one that I was blown away by the performance compared to my other ones. Because I was happy with the other ones. I just was what it was to me. It wasn't in it for the love of it. I could never make a penny. I wasn't doing it for anything but showing people I was real as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So
you were doing it for the community,
100%.
like, which is how YouTube was back then. It was not about money. It wasn't about views. It was just like, I'm doing this because I love it. It's weird. It's cool, but it's cool to me, you know? Yeah. Yeah,
straight up nerd, an outdoor nerd. Yeah, you're 100% right. So yeah, I monetized that one video, and I made $50 the next month. I feel like when it came out, I made $50, and that's what I said. Whoa. And then it said, there was another button that said monetize all videos, because the monetized video, it was like, put the URL whatever of the video you want to do. And under that was like, button said monetize all videos. So after I got the $50, I was like, yeah, hell yeah, and I clicked it. And I remember the next month I was excited to see it, and I looked at it, and I got $200. And this was only.
What did that feel like? Because, like, you know, $50, $200, like, that's real money that, like, can go to pay, like, electricity bills and stuff like that. Like, and how did that feel?
It was great. And this was like over 10 years ago or whatever, you know what I mean? So it was like a different everything. So money was still very important. And I was blown away by it because I was just doing what I loved. You know what I mean? So yeah. So
you're like, I can make money doing what I love. Like,
100%.
This is possible for me.
Yeah. So I went a little bit harder and stuff, and I kept doing it.
What does that mean? What does that look like?
I just got like a little bit of a fire lit under my ass to make some more videos to see how much, if I could rake some more money in or whatever.
Yeah.
But I still worked at the pet store for a long time.
Yeah. So you're making money now on YouTube. You're growing on the channel. But you're still probably what? Like, you're not above, this is 2013 at this point. You're not like above like 10 or 20K subs yet, right?
Well, what year did I go on Alone? Do you know? What was the first year?
2014.
2014. So when I went on Alone, I was at 30,000 subscribers.
Okay. So I want to get to that. So can you tell me about when you got the opportunity for Alone? Where was your YouTube channel? how much money were you making, a month around then? Like what did the growth look like?
So I had stopped working at the pet store for a while because I actually met somebody online on that forum, that Bushcraft USA forum, from Windsor as well as me, who was living in Windsor, and he was a professor in the University of Windsor's environmental research group. So I got hired on as a lab tech there, and I worked there for a long time as well. Like, it was a good job, and I actually was still working there when I got the alone thing. So I'm sorry, repeat the question.
Yeah, so you're chilling. So you got this job with this professor, and then that was more in line with like the outdoor stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, we were catching lots of fish and stuff. Yeah.
And so, and this was more about like ecology and like the environment. So like right up your alley. So you kind of ditched the pet store job where you had climbed the ranks to assistant manager, and focusing on this, which you like more, but it's still maybe not like, it's not like what you were doing on YouTube. Like YouTube felt like completely in alignment maybe, or it seems like what you said, completely in alignment with how you wanted ideally to make money, but maybe it just wasn't enough at this point. But then you get an opportunity to do alone. How do you get that opportunity? Where do you get that message from? What does YouTube look like at that point,
Right.
and all that?
So I was still working at the university, so I obviously wasn't making enough money from YouTube yet to not work. And I heard about it. Man, this forum like really changed my life. I heard about the show, the Alone show from the forum, and some people were saying like, I'm signing up or whatever. This is season 1, right? Nobody knew nothing about it, and so like I signed up for it, and I got the call. I was working at the University of Windsor. I had a very lenient boss. I got the call, and they wanted me to. I talked to them on the phone for a long time, and they wanted me to make a video showcasing my skills or whatever. So I had to go out and do that and film it as best as I could, because they told me like you'll be filming yourself out here too. So I really, really, really tried hard. And I made a couple really good videos and sent them in.
And also, you have a leg up on all the other survival people because you had been making videos, right? It's like it was a video submission to get on the show, and like that's kind of what you've been doing for the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's what I figured. But when I got there was a couple other YouTubers who also did that. But yeah, no, you're right. Very, very much so. And I was super, 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 super stoked for it. Super stoked for it.
And so what did that look like? So you get the call, you submit, or you get the information from the forum, you submit your video to Alone, and then how do you find out that you're going to be on that season?
Yeah, it was back and forth quite a bit, and then they actually flew most or all of the potential participants of Alone. They flew us out to New York for an in-person survival test, and meet and greet with the talking heads, with the producers and stuff. So they made us do a bunch of crazy stuff. Eat crickets that they got at the pet store crickets. What else? They got us a bunch of rabbits that we had to do all sorts of stuff with those guys. What else? I don't know, man. We had to make fire with a bow drill. So we could sleep on the ground. Lots of stuff. Oh, we had to jump in the water. This is cool. We had to always carry a survival kit around on us, and our survival kit had to be big enough, small enough to put in our pocket. That would consist of something to make a shelter with, a fire with, you know what I mean, catch some food with, whatever, what have you. So we're all carrying around, and then they line us up like one by one, bringing us in. And we had 10 people already got on the show. We had about 18 people at these tryouts, and they were from all over. Grown ass man, and I'm a grown ass man, but I'm tiny. You know, I'm a little dude, right? There's always like army dudes and everything. So I'm like number 6. Guy number 6. I get pulled up. I jump in out of 18 guys. Jump in the water. They're making everybody jump in the water. So I jump in the water, and you have to dunk your head under, get up, go out. They're like, okay, now go build a shelter, build a fire, and see how far along the line of survival things you need to do you can get. You need going. So I'm like, all right, jump. In my head, I'm in like go mode. Like, this is make or break. I had like, this is meant for me. I'm gonna win. Like, this is my time. So I get out, go. I get my Mylar blanket out. You know what I mean? My space blanket and a little piece of paracord.
Wait, and is this still tryouts right now?
This is tryouts. Oh yeah.
This is still try. This is not even the real show.
No,
this is just tryouts,
yeah,
which is crazy.
This is see if you get on alone. So freaking go get out my piece of paracord. I got the paracord. There's 7 strands in or 9 strands in, depending. So I tie up the one side, tie up the other side, making buttons on my Mylar cord with debris. Do them on the bottom. Dig on a trench in front. Put big logs there. And then I use my fire steel that was in my survival kit as well, and I make a big fire. So by the time they get to me, and I found a salamander, and I kept it underneath one of the logs. So by the time they get to me, everybody had already jumped in, and they're trying and everything to go, and I'm laying with only my boxers on a bed of evergreen boughs, with a shelter above me like this. If it's reflecting, it's a Mylar blanket. It's a space blanket.
Yeah.
It reflects. So you have this shelter here, a big long fire, probably 3 feet long, roaring in front of me. My clothes on sticks, drying off already. My boots on sticks, drying off already. I'm chilling, and I got a salamander next to me, depending on what we're gonna have to do, because I didn't know if we were gonna have to stay. I thought, and so the other guys, that they were going to make us stay there all night. Like, I thought that was part of the test.
Wow.
So I'm chilling with the salamander next to me, waiting to get the directions, what to do. If we're going to stay, I'm going to fish with it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They come around. I remember I was guy 6 to jump in. They go, you're the first person to have a fire going when they come around.
Wow. So you're like, I could win this whole thing.
And I caught a brown trout with my hand in the water with my hand. I was killing this shit. I was like, at least putting the fear of Joe into these people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so freaking, I felt real good about that. Got done that, and then,
is there like a prize for winning?
For winning alone?
Yeah.
$500,000.
$500,000. Holy shit! So
American.
This is like $500,000 American.
Yeah.
If you win this, and in the trials, you're like coming out way ahead. So you're like, this could be mine if I win.
I felt it was destiny. I thought I was gonna win. I would have bet money on it for sure.
Wow.
So we do that. Go through some other stuff. Bond with a couple guys. Don't like a couple guys, and then I'll go home and wait for the call. A couple weeks later, I get the call. Joe, you made it. No problem. I was one of the first picks. Joe, you made it, blah, 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 blah. They told me, my buddy Dustin, who I knew from the forum as well, was going to get on too and stuff.
No way. Okay.
Yeah,
so like
pretty cool.
a little friendly competition between you two.
Exactly, yeah.
What does it look like to actually start the show?
The show was crazy. They came to my house to film some B-roll type stuff. And then we fly there, and it's Vancouver Island, BC. So it's a couple planes for me, and I'm pretty nervous. And
why are you nervous?
I just like, I don't know if the word is nervous, but like, I'm very aware. I'm very hyper. Like my senses are all just firing off. You know, I really want to do this. I want to do it properly. I want to look good doing it. You know what I mean? I did have a lot of people behind me, and I had high expectations for it for sure. So we get into it. I fly there, and we have to sit down basically once everybody gets there, and we have the executives and producers of history and like all sorts of bigwigs there talking to us, giving us. We had like a full week of like checking in basically, or like what do they call it, like just getting used to the area or whatever. It was raining so much. I've never seen so much rain in my life when we were there. The raindrops were the size of, like, those big marbles, and like they're like hitting the metal roof. It was just crazy. The metal roofs were growing moss. It was so wet there. Yeah, lots of crabs and all that. So we just got used to being there, basically, and sitting through a bunch of legal jargon and a bunch of other stuff.
So what was the actual competition starting as? Like, so the weather was inclement. You had like giant raindrops. You're getting into this island. It's a couple plane rides from you. What are they saying is like what's the mission?
A big part of it was they kept reminding us you have to film yourselves at all times, right? Like, so I was used to filming myself because I'm a YouTuber, as you mentioned. But like a lot of these guys, grown men who are in the military and stuff, who don't really never touch the camera in their lives, barely use a phone type things, you know what I mean? So it's like a big part of it was trying to get through our heads a way to film ourselves no matter what. They were also telling us that like some things were out of season, or we had to be careful about getting red tide was the red from the seashells. PSP, I can't remember the exact name for it, but just and telling us basically where roughly how far apart we're going to be from each other. There's no getting in cahoots with each other. And
so it's the main thing is record yourself and try to survive. Do they give you anything to survive out there?
They gave us a list before we left of what we can bring, and we were only allowed 10 items to survive, and that's what we were allowed to have.
So what were the 10 items you brought?
Oh man, I brought a tarp, I brought a axe, I brought fishing tackle, I believe was one. I brought boots. Can't remember them all. A book.
Is that 10 items including your clothes?
No, but they told us exactly what we could bring for clothes. Everybody was able to bring the same thing for clothes, same amount of stuff. Yeah, and they ended up giving us a big oilskin tarp that none of us knew was gonna happen. Like if we knew, some of us wouldn't have brought our own tarp, sort of. But this big oilskin tarp was like 10 by 16 or something like that. Big.
Wow.
Big. Yeah. I used that for my sleeping pad, the tarp itself.
So you get there, you have your 10 items. How does it go? Like what are the first what are the first few like hours like?
Out finally when they dropped me off.
Yeah.
So I got dropped off in a helicopter. Some people got dropped off in a boat. Some people got dropped off in a plane.
Wow.
I got dropped off in a helicopter. It was the first time in a helicopter. It's pretty cool. But when they dropped me off, I stepped down into the grass, and my feet sunk like this far into the grass, and there's just water like slowly rising. So we're by the Pacific Ocean, and everybody had like a beach, a sand beach with like rocks and stuff, and then the ground gradually grew.
Yeah.
Because there's a tide, which I am not used to at all, because I am an Ontario boy. I have no idea about the ocean. This tide rose, I want to say roughly 8 feet. Don't quote me on that. It could be a little bit more even, but I didn't have that. I'm talking everybody had a sand beach, and that's where they got dropped off at.
And so you're like the worst conditions ever. You're like in the marsh.
I had a marsh, exactly. Yeah. And when the tide rose, it rose, and it was ocean. I had to walk back the length of like 2 football fields, crawling with all this gear. Don't forget camera gear. The camera gear was in a big, one of those big Pelican boxes or whatever, big heavy duty like waterproof boxes, and like I had to crawl under. Also, I had an axe and a machete, and the bushes are rubber. These bushes there are like rubber, I swear to God. So you hit it with that. No point of hitting it with an axe. So I'm crawling up and down all over to get back in, away from where the water would drown me, would soak all my stuff. It wouldn't make any sense, right? So it's not even like I could go look for limpets, like little tiny shelled seashells and stuff to go get food or hunt or swim or go out and have a fire on my beach or anything. It was marsh until the water. It was wild. I was not happy about it, and then so I finally get back in out of the marsh into the forest, and it's just like a cedar, like very, very, very mossy, dark cedar forest where
which means that it's probably hard to find kindling. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, more so than that, almost impossible to find wood, not just kindling but firewood itself too. Anything that's like, I have my axe, remember, and I would chop down trees. I could chop down a tree this big. I could for sure, but I was looking for, some firewood, and any tree that was this big around or smaller and it was dead was a sponge. You could wring water out of it, and you don't chop down a live tree for firewood because that doesn't work, right? So any tree that was this big or smaller was literally a sponge. It was impossible, right? There was nothing. There was no firewood.
So you were like screwed.
I couldn't make a fire. I was like trying to take chips out of trees and make a little tiny fire with it. The flame would go up for a second and die. I could not get fire for anything, which means you cannot have boiled water or any clean kind of water. And that's another item I brought was a pot and a fire stool and a knife.
And so, as you are dealing with these conditions, are you losing a hope of being able to stay out? Like what is the self-talk that's happening in your head?
For sure. Yeah. So it was definitely, the self-talk was definitely like, I can't stay here. I can't live here. Like, this is inhospitable. No one would ever try to make camp there at all. It's just not a spot to camp. And
can you move camps or no?
No. You're where you are. Where you drop you off, that's where you are. You have, like, they told us you couldn't go too far because you might run into the other people or whatever the case may be. So I had like a certain radius I had to stay at. I was away from the water too. So which was a good thing, but no firewood, and there's no clear ground. Remember, I have a tarp, and I have to lay on the ground, and so everything's bush and everything except for these game trails everywhere. And obviously, you don't set up camp on a game trail, so you don't get stepped on or
why not?
You don't get stepped on in the middle of the night or potentially bothered by whatever game it is. And you know what the game was there? Black bear. Swear to God.
Oh, no.
Swear to God. I came face to face across a river, though, with a big old black bear the first night. And
my God.
Yeah, decided to cross the river towards me and stuff. So I set up on the game trail, because that was the only flat-ish kind of ground there was. I laid their tarp on the ground. I set up my tarp over top of it, and I had a great sleep that night. Actually, I slept like 10 hours that night.
Okay, so you made it through the first night, but what next?
Well, laying there at night, like planning my next day. You know what I'm saying? Like crazy. Mm-hmm. It was like you have to get out. You have to hike to the top of a big hill. You have to scope out the area, find if there's another like suitable area within your domain that you can set up camp, and or look for, see if the tide is out and try to look for driftwood that's like hanging up on the root of a tree or something that I can get off that's dry. So I knew I had to do something to improve myself. I get out that day and I go and I try it all. I look everywhere for everything and do all that stuff, and see a bunch of animal tracks all around me and stuff or whatever. But yeah, no good came of it. I got nothing out of it, and nothing. No good came of it at all. I was actually terrified on a couple of spots because there's like all these caves. I'm like just waiting for something to pop out at me. You know what I mean? But like whatever, that's whatever. Yeah, couldn't live there at all. Decided to move myself, and I moved myself. I think that night, walked across the river, and stayed within my area that I'm supposed to be. But I found a nice spot after I crossed the river finally over there with the sandy beach that comes up, and it was all good just on the other side of the hill that was across. Yeah, so
Okay, so you find land that's like could be good. Now it's
Yeah.
just like, can I find wood for a fire?
Yeah, for sure. And I do. And
You find wood?
Yeah, I do. I find wood, and I make a little fire on the beach, and I put my I get a little warm, and I put my coat down on a log on the beach. It's a black coat, and I'm finally get everything ready, get my fire still go and strike it into the fire, and I swear that I think this is what happened. I put my fire steel on that black coat, okay? And because I didn't have a sheath with it or a lanyard or anything, because in my mind,
Tell me what a fire steel is. That's the thing that you like to make the fire start.
a fire steel, yeah, it's just like a rod, like a pencil, basically, and you take the back of your knife and you scrape it, and it shoots out gobs of sparks, molten sparks. And if you have enough curls, shavings, or birch bark or fluff, it catches it and it bursts into flames.
Right.
And you get your fire going that way. So I got my fire going, put it down, I think, on the coat, and went about my business. Boiling water, I found on you know how there's like litter all over the ocean side, right?
Yeah.
All over. I found a big bottle of water, and so I put I boiled water out with my pot, did it all up, put the water in the bottle, and then grabbed my coat to go on to a different spot, I think, and my fire still, what I think happened is flipped off my coat into the water, and I went to go do what I was supposed to do, and I tried to clean up after. I'm looking around for my fire steel, and the sand is black, remember, and the fire steel is black. I'm looking for my fire steel, I can't find it anywhere. I start to trip out. I start to really freak out, looking everywhere. I'm combing the black sand with my hands for hours, and looking everywhere, my pockets, everywhere, everything. It's gone. It's gone, for real. And now panic sets in. Big time panic sets in.
Why? Because what does the fire steel mean? Because like, yes, it like makes doing fire easier, but like, can't you do like the bow drill and stuff like that?
I could do the bow drill, but this was a temperate rainforest in the rainy season. And remember about the dead wood, anything that was smaller than that could be soaking wet. So in my mind,
it would have been almost impossible to create any fire without that.
And or keep that fire going, because I still had that fire. I still have the fire going right now, that I got going. But it's like I still had to build a shelter. Like I did all this before I built my new shelter and set up and stuff, because like I was famished. I was so thirsty. I was like dehydrated, right? I know I needed water. I didn't have water in a couple of days, so I had to do this. So the first thing I wanted to do and got doing was the water. And then I found out the fire steel. And so in my head, there's like 9 other dudes in this competition. There was 10 guys. In my head, there's 9 other dudes doing perfectly fine, and I've already lost my means of making fire. And I'm already started to crash. So it's like, if I can't make fire out here, I'm screwed. And I knew that I couldn't do a bow drill, and I knew I couldn't keep that fire going. So I started to really trip out and play a mental game with myself, and it was just a fighting back and forth of what I needed to do. And after trying to find that fire still for like 5 hours, it was just like, all right, it's done.
Wow.
And I had to call it in. And
why didn't you think about like, just staying longer, or just like trying to do your best to stay as long as you could, even if you knew the other guys might have a better chance?
Because I knew without fire, like, you can't eat, right? You can't.
Yeah.
So fire, you have to cook all your food that you find, or even the little bit of rations that we had to be boiled in water to rehydrate. And then also water, you can only live like a couple days without water. And I thought, why prolong the suffering? I know I'm not going to win. I know I'm not going to win 100%. If it's only been 3 days, and in my head 9 people are still there, I'm not going to win, and I can't prolong this, or there's no reason to prolong this. It's just suffer.
So then you just say, like, how do you tap out then?
So there's you call it in or whatever, and we all had the hell
walkie-talkies?
No, like, because it's too far.
GPS satellite
sat
phones?
phones. We had sat phones. Yeah. So I call him, talking to him, tell him exactly what happened. I'm like, you gotta come. They're like, are you sure, Joe? Yep, gotta come. And so we hung up, and I had to sit there for like hours waiting, and it was like torturous hours waiting.
Yeah, I'm
and
sure.
then finally they hear the of the helicopter, and they're like, make sure that you film it all. You know what I mean? Like on things. So they're coming in, I'm filming it all, and filming me crying up a storm, and I was all upset. So then they came and did a little outro interview, and that was it. And I had to, and then I had to stay. Here's the thing too. So that was it. There, whatever. We get on the boat, get on the chopper, get over there. He goes, 4 other guys already tapped out.
Did that change anything for you, or were you like, wow, I should have?
Yeah. I should have stayed. Yeah, I mean,
Do you think if you stayed, you would have won?
no, hell no, not in a million years. No. No, the guy who won, I felt like one of my downfalls was I filmed so much. Like, even if you watch the show, you will never know how much I filmed because they only show a certain amount of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I treated it like my YouTube channel. I was doing retakes. I was like setting up the camera, walking by, doing the whole thing. I treated it like my YouTube channel. The guy who won, not saying anything about him. He's a cool guy. I like him a lot. He didn't do that. He didn't do that at all. He like laid in the shelter and like talked to the camera like this. Didn't show nothing. Didn't do nothing. Like straight up hibernated like a bear. But not. I think that was a good.
How long did he stay?
Like 50 days, 57 days or something.
57 days. Dang.
It was a very good technique. It was a very good way to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, but you know, it felt like you were a shoe-in, but you lose this fire starter, and you lost the competition.
Yeah.
Coming back home, like, how did you what did you think? How did you feel?
I felt like a loser, man. I felt really ashamed. I felt shitty. Felt like I blew my one opportunity in the world. But I will tell you this too. It lit a fire under my ass. And if I didn't win, if I would have won that $500,000, I would have thought that was all the money in the world. You know what I'm saying? At that time, I would have been like, I'm set. I don't have to do another damn thing in my life. I'm good. And that I know now is false, is very untrue. And I have made many times $500,000 by now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, after you got back from Alone in 2014, how did you start to like really push the YouTube stuff?
So I get done Alone. I come home and I look and I see on Alone all these people who are new, who were under me, who in subscribers and views and all that stuff when I went away. And those guys, it seemed like the whole genre took off, and then a lot of people who were under me were way surpassed me now. So I was like, I can't have that, you know what I mean? I felt real bad about Alone for a long time, and YouTube was the one thing that I knew that I was good at and I could do. So I still had to work. I still had to work I was basically like working 2 jobs. I worked at the university, and I also went and did YouTube all the time. So I would drive about 40 minutes outside of the city, and like 40 minutes from my house outside of the city, there was just that same like farm bush type thing, and I would go in there and shoot videos and build forts and shelters and bring the dog all the time and stuff. And it got to the point where I finally recreated that video that we talked about earlier, that Bushcraft video with the dog with the yellow tarp. I recreated it, and
so because you had made a yellow tarp video like in 2013 or 2014, in 2013, but this was now like the revamped version of that. That you would release in 2017. So what was that video about? What was it?
That video was me taking the dog out. I got a new backpack, I remember, and I wanted to test the backpack out before I went on a real trip far away, right? So I loaded it up with gear for the night, and I brought the same yellow tarp, And you know what's funny? Another throwback to that Bushcraft USA forum. That I bought that yellow tarp from their online store, from the forum store. But anyways, yeah.
Wow.
So I loved it. I used it all the time. And that tarp, and by the time now I'm savvy. Now I'm a little bit internet savvy and YouTube savvy, whereas I know that thumbnails really matter. You know what I mean? It's thumbnails and titles that really matter. So I realize that the yellow tarp in the thumbnail is a good thing because it draws your attention, it pops, especially when the rest of it's like kind of be woods or whatever. So anyways, bring that yellow tarp, and my dog Scout and we go and sleep out, and we cook up a steak, and we just spend the night out or whatever. And I put that out, and I don't know what happened, if it got shared on Reddit, because back in the day, that was how people really blew their stuff up, if somebody shared it on Reddit or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it got shared on Reddit, what happened or whatever, but I could see that was one of the ones where I could watch it grow, the numbers.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you were monetized
And
at
I
that
was
point.
monetized at that point, yeah, so I was really happy,
Wow.
yeah. And I ended up making, by the end of it, over $100,000 just off that one video.
Off
Yeah,
one
yeah, yeah,
video.
yeah. And
$100,000 off
I
one
remember
video.
looking one month in my analytics, I had gained over 16,000 subscribers just from that video, and this was months.
Wow.
And this was months after the video was posted. Down.
Yeah, it's like a video that just keeps on like generating revenue and getting you more and more subscribers. So in 2017, you broke 100,000 subscribers with that video.
Finally, after that video, it helped me break 100,000. It took me 7 years. 7 years of posting to get 100,000, and 1 year after that, I was at 500,000.
Wow. Well, how did the business change in that year? Like in 2018, you're at 500K subscribers. What is your like monthly AdSense brand deal stuff looking like? Like what is the business looking like? How many like views are you getting?
I was getting around, like I was getting big bucks, but I was also getting like very good brand deals, like Dollar Shave Club, Audible, Manscaped, all the big ones came after me, and I was getting 10,000 American per sponsor.
Per sponsor. So one video, you're getting 10,000 for a brand sponsor.
That's
not
not
even
the revenue,
including the revenue from YouTube. So like, what were you pulling in a month?
Oh, big bucks.
Like in 2018.
I don't really remember, but big bucks. Yeah, big bucks.
Yeah.
And my best year must have been 2019 or 20, and I made 600. Yeah.
Wow. 600K off program. That's
Tell me about it. I was blown away, and I didn't know about taxes and stuff. Right, I didn't know what I was supposed to do or whatever, and at all. So I had to. I was sweating bullets, man. I'm worried. You know what I mean? So it's like the last thing I want to do is get in trouble for anything. So I went in and talked to whoever I had to talk to, and ended up pay on it all too and stuff. But what I didn't pay, but then I got incorporated, so I wouldn't have to pay all of it in taxes. But still a ton.
Yeah. You're starting to make like the smart business, the business decision. So what does the community look like as this is growing? Because you get in 2017, 2018, 2019, your channel is growing. You're getting millions of views per video. You're getting these $10,000 brand deals. You're like going up to 600K, like making that in a year, which is probably more money than you thought you could make ever from this.
For sure.
So like, what does the community on YouTube look like as you're expanding, like the Bushcraft community?
I surpassed all those guys, and I was really happy at that. I got a lot of support, a lot of good guys and girls, and I got a lot of fellow creators recognizing me, which is what I wanted. Like, I must have some kind of complex or whatever. I want people to know who I am, but I did, and they did, and everybody was pretty cool. And then you get your haters along the way. You get like your lifelong haters and people who are. One guy made a whole career out of just talking shit about me. He made a whole whole channel about like bashing me and everything. It's so funny. But yeah, no, everything was pretty good. Community was pretty good, and I was getting out and doing more and more wild stuff, which was good. And
but then 2020 hits, like, you know, you are at the peak of your channel. You're making more money than you ever had. You're getting more views than you ever had. But then what happens to Scout?
Yeah, Scout got a so we moved up here up to this house up north, and that was in October, and in December Scout got diagnosed with lymphoma. We took him to the vet because he had like I noticed he's like glands swollen up here. I was like, oh, his glands are swollen, he's got a cold. I didn't think lymphoma at all. He's 11 years old. He's been healthy as a horse his whole life. Good dog. My best buddy and my best buddy. And I took him in, and then they said he had like got lymphoma, and I could put him down there if I wanted. I said, no, what are you talking about? Put him down now? Like, what do you mean? Like, they said, well, he's gonna die soon. They said, I was just crushed. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even believe the words that were like at all. And I said, no, I went to him home, and so I researched a bunch of stuff. I kept him alive for like 2 more months ish, but when it happened, like when it was time to go, I knew it was time to go, and like I didn't wait another second. You know what I'm saying? I would never have like prolonged it for my own feeling better about for me when he's hurting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I feel like that's like really significant, because not only is it, you know, like any dog that you have for over a decade you're going to be attached to, but like this was like, you know, like a best friend. This was someone that you did all of these excursions and these trips with. This is kind of someone that you almost like built your business and your channel with. Like this is someone this is a like this dog is like was like a core part of every part of your life. And so I imagine it was really hard. Was it hard to make videos after that?
It was. For the first little while, it was. I just like he was always part of the videos. You know what I mean? On overnighters, on day trips, whatever. He was always a big part of it, and a lot of the content I felt like too. I was like, oh, when I don't know what to film, or when I'm just sitting here bored or whatever, I could film Scout digging a hole or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? It was for a little bit, and but I got over it. You know what I mean? I knew that it's also here's the thing, that what's the driving force for me always is my family, right? And like this is how I provide for them. So it's like, yeah, I was down. I've had instances since and before that where I didn't want to or felt shitty about it, but it's like it's providing for my family, and that's the number one thing, be all and all thing that matters for me.
Yeah. And I mean, you've built something incredible for yourself and your family, and I want to talk about leading up to 2024, about your accident that you talked about in your channel a little bit, but what happened there?
Man, my brother actually passed away last year, right around my birthday, and that was really hard. He was 10 years younger than me. His dad, we had different dads, but we called each other brothers. His dad ended up taking off, and me and him and my sister were and my mom were all together, but me and him had like a special bond. We were buddies, and that really stuck with me for quite some time. And it was right around that time in 24, so a full year later, right around the same time, I don't know, man, I probably wasn't thinking properly or whatever. I hopped on my dirt bike just to, pardon me, I hopped on my dirt bike just to go down to the end of the street and come back. I did that sometimes when I was, I just wanted to take my mind off things. Excuse me. I did that sometimes before when I just wanted to take my mind off things, and it was raining and it was dark and very dewy, and I when my dirt bike went down into a ditch, just a low grade ditch down. I was going to go down and come back up. I was going way too fast, and I didn't see these big boulders underneath the wet grass from the dew. And I went down, and I think because I got concussed, I think what happened was either the handlebars turned sharply and I got thrown off the bike, or I just, whatever happened, I got thrown off the bike. The bikes, I got it back recently from the cops, and the one handlebar is supposedly this is to bent completely down the middle, and then the back of the bike is messed up too. So the bike went ass over tea kettle, and I smashed my face.
Yeah, right down the eyebrow and the eye.
Smashed my head off of something, I'm not sure what, and got concussed. It was just my face than anything. But the biggest problem was when I landed, I tried to it's a reaction when you land, you try to break your fall. So I Supermaned out and hit the ground, hyperextended even more so, and I severely stretched the ulnar and the median, I believe, nerve in this arm, my left arm. So I lost. So I was in a coma for 3 weeks, in an induced a coma, but it's still a coma because my brain or whatever. And they air rushed me. Just a city a few hours away, and they air rushed me, and then they transferred me back here. And I put my wife through hell. I feel so bad about that.
Yeah.
My family, my kids. But when I was in a coma, I guess this arm was about as wide around as my leg, just completely,
oh my God,
like swollen, bruised up. Sorry, my dog. Swollen, bruised up like crazy, and this kind of came down or whatever. And I got out 2 days after I came out of my coma. I made them let me out or whatever. I wasn't loving life there, but my hand, I can't use it for much. Like even like my phone, like it's hard to. It's hard. Anyways, my hand doesn't work really good.
Yeah.
My finger won't bend. These fingers bend, but this one won't bend at all. My thumb won't bend at all.
Yeah.
I have no strength in it and no fit. Half the feeling, but most of it's pins and needles and shards of glass when I touch it, and the cold kills it. And I haven't been able to make a video, like a camping video, since May. This happened May 17th. So I put up 2 videos since, and they've just been talking about what happened. But you gotta really be careful, man. Like this is one I always wear my helmet too. Always. This stupid not to. I just was gonna go end of my street and back, around the block, whatever the case may be. 5-minute ride, and 1 second changed my life. 1 second, 1 stupid second of a dumb decision, of a messed up thing. It's an accident, yeah, but still, it didn't need to happen. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's why I preach to everybody now. Is that you gotta be very careful. But what was crazy too was that I was in a coma for 3 weeks, and I lived a whole different life. And they weren't dreams; it was real stuff that happened. And I dreamt something about gas, like being in a room with a bunch of gas or something. And when I woke up, after a while I was woke up, they told me that there was a gas problem in the hospital in my room and stuff. So like there was some kind of association or whatever with the outside world, but it was wild, man. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. What's crazy? Your brain is crazy. I was concussed, and they were kind of worried about like everything. They didn't know how bad it was gonna be, how long I was gonna be in there, or whatever. When I woke up, I remembered everything except for the fact that my brother passed away the year before, and I had no recollection of that at all. I wanted to call him, I wanted to talk to him, tell him that I was okay and everything. I remember everything else, but my brain didn't let me remember that because I don't think it probably wasn't ready to handle with that trauma there again. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So crazy. Yeah. So how are you thinking about like your life now, what you want to focus on? Has it put things in perspective? Have you thought about like what it means to, do stuff after this accident and what it looks like moving forward?
Yeah, I've been sitting around thinking for months. Yes, one thing I'm thinking of is you never even know how much you take your hands for granted. Not you, everyone, me. You know what I mean? It's not even something you think about, but it's something that you use every day, and that you really need. Really need. I can't go on a cruise trip. I can't go make videos. I couldn't even, because this hand is all messed up too, and I couldn't even pull my SD card out of my camera. You know what I'm saying? Things that you would take for granted, things that you would never even think about doing. Peeling an apple. Peeling a banana. Can't do it. This hand has no strength to hold it while I crack the top and peel it down. So it doesn't work. So it's like all these things that we take for granted that other people can do. Normal people can do. This is my air quotes. I can't even. Anyways, that normal people can do, we take for granted. So like, we gotta be thankful for health, for what we can do, and try to help people, and if they need it, and just kind of keep it in the back of your head. You're a very, very lucky person for many reasons. But moving forward, I really need this hand to come back, and they're talking about surgery and stuff, but I feel like I'm making progress, and that it might come back. I might not get my finger, because like legit, like that's all it goes. It's kind of not bad right now, but I might not get that finger, but that's okay if I don't. It's okay, you know what I mean? My perspective on life has completely changed. I'm much more like look at the bigger picture type of person than I ever was, and I honestly just want to be a good person, and I just want to help people, and I just want like life to be that type of life. Like I don't ever have any desire to move into like any kind of city or anything like that. I just want to stay where we are, and like just be good, and then teach the kids to be good people, and that's it. Just be a dad.
Yeah. So moving, looking like at your whole story, obviously like as you're recovering, things are on hiatus. You are still making videos about your experience, but I imagine even like I imagine people would even be interested in like just seeing like what survival skills look like post surviving. Like you survived this like crazy experience, and I imagine people would still want to follow along, even if you can't do the things that you could do before, like the progress that you're seeing every day of being able to like get your hands back and your strength back. Like I imagine people would love to see that, because you have built this like following that really cares, and you can see it in the videos that you posted. So recently about your accident, but looking back at your life, and like how to create this life of doing the things you love, and making a living doing that, like what advice do you think you would give your younger self, maybe going into college for this like forestry and parks thing? Like what advice do you think you would give the people that have a weird interest and don't know necessarily how to make something of it, but like hear your story and think maybe it's possible? What advice would you give those people?
Don't dwell on the setbacks. Like if something doesn't go the way that you are planning, or think if something doesn't happen the way that you think it has to happen in order for the result that you need, don't dwell on that. And I would say that to myself now as well. You know what I mean? Like in my life, so many times, so many things have happened where I know that this sequence of events has to happen in order for the goal that I need to happen. And 9 times out of 10, those things don't happen. And even if the goal doesn't get achieved at the end, something else happens that takes its place. You know what I mean? And that's what it was meant to be, right? That's happened to me so many times. Yeah, I would certainly say that.
I think that is a great place to end. Joe, thanks so much for coming
on. Of course, man. No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, rate the podcast 5 stars, and share with a friend. If you have any questions or comments, DM us at Finding Founders Podcast on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook. Finding Founders is produced and hosted by me, Samuel Donner.
Our audio editing team lead is Ashley Jimenez, with support from
Jessica Morales, Miley Lipton,
Siyu Pan,
Kenny Wright,
Josie Yo,
Matt Fernandez,
and Merritt Hill.
Our outreach and research team lead is Desiree Nunez, with support from
Marissa Granados, Monica Lee,
Sarah Tiersma,
and Yao Will.
To see more of what we're up to, subscribe to our newsletter at findingfounders.co. Thanks again for listening, and see you next week.
Wait, we had ended the episode, but we were just talking about an idea. You said one-handed man goes camping. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, I figure like they up to the pregabalin, which is the nerve blocker pain pill that I have, and it's actually done quite a bit. So whereas I still can't use my hand, the pain is completely manageable. So I don't want to just lay in bed and cry all day like I used to do for a couple of months with this, which is pretty bad. But if like I could make like a video called like One-Handed Guy Goes Camping, and just go out and do like the normal thing, just film all the stuff I do and the different ways I have to do it, using my teeth for tying knots and whatnot. Like just shoot a little like one-parter there with half an hour video about old Joe freaking getting older.